In one of my earlier videos, I show how to remove this engine from a TXT Ezgo golf cart. This is the EH-29C Robin engine. The first thing I should have done before I pulled it out of the cart was to drain the oil. So I'm going to do that now. This is a 9/16 plug here, and it's pretty tight. I'm probably going to have oil everywhere here in just a second. Hope not. Not too bad. I'm going to kind of wing how I take this thing apart. I'm not real sure of this actual process, but I'll figure it out on my own here. Next, I'm going to remove this pulley here. All right, while that's soaking in a little bit, I'll take something else off. Let's go around to the carburetor right here. I think it's already loose anyway, so let's just slide it off of here. These linkages just snap off. I'm gonna leave this one intact so I don't get confused with it. So here's the carburetor. I'm going to go set this somewhere where the gas won't leak out of it. Next, I'm going to go ahead and remove this hose. And I guess this cover right here. Probably don't have to do it to rebuild it, but I'm going to clean this thing up really, really nice. Those bolts look like this, 10 millimeter. I'll put them back in though so I don't lose them. Both of them are the same. This is a cooling fan shroud. The top left bolt looks like that. Wow. I'll go ahead and break those loose. This one's already loose. To remove the coil too while we're at this, so that's got to come off before I can get that cover off. Let's get a little closer to the camera over here. Okay, so that's the right middle bolt. It's a little longer because it goes through this bracket. Now, I'm not trying to do this any speedy way. I'm sure there's some people out there that can rebuild one of these things in 10 minutes, but I'm not one of those people. All right, there's the coil and the bracket. Let's see here. I don't know if I'm going to pull that off or not, so I'm going to go ahead and put the nut on there anyway. And this bolt can't go back in until I get this cover off. The bottom right bolt. Looks like all of them are going to be the same except for that top right bolt. Yeah, they're all the same length except for the top right one. All right, there's the cover. This must be the electronic ignition here. Again, I'm using terminology I'm not real sure, but that's going down to the flywheel here, so it's got to be something to do with electronic ignition. So let's see if we can get this thing here off. Okay, this bolt right here is a big one. I have 1 1/4 inches, which is a little bit loose, and 1 1/8 inches, which is too tight. So it must be 1 3/16 inches, which I don't have, or it's metric that I also don't have. I want to see if I can bump it loose with this. I don't think it'll hurt it, but we're going to give it a shot. Let me get my impact wrench out. So here we go. I'm assuming it's also the proper thread. Oh man, that come off easy. I just bumped it. But I noticed these bolts have bent over tabs on them to keep them from vibrating out, so I got to tap those down first. These things are not tight. That's probably why they have those bent tabs on them. I'll probably have bolts laying everywhere when this is done. Well, came loose. There it is. Let's go ahead and remove this exhaust manifold. And there is the exhaust manifold. Not sure what the process for getting it off of there is. Oh, I see. You run a bolt down in there. It's threaded internally. It's threaded in there for a bolt. I wonder, it's threaded in there for something. Yeah, that's threaded way down in there, but I'm not sure. Unless you put something down in there and thread a bolt against it.
Day 2.
After doing some research on the internet, I found that a common way for removing this is to go buy a 3/4 inch bolt. I didn't see anybody really listing what the threads were on the 3/8 bolt. They listed as fine thread, and that is a 3/4 16 thread bolt. So it's 16 threads per inch here. And then what you do, and I haven't done any of this yet, I'm gonna pour some oil down in this hole here. I'm using some old oil I had here from a motorcycle I used to own. I'm gonna pour that down in there. You fill the thing up like I just did, and you take this bolt and thread it down into there, and I believe what's going to remove this thing is the actual compression of that lubricant. Let's see what happens here. Yep, that's not going to do it. Let me back it up. Maybe if I run it in with a impact driver. Here's try number 2. The first time I think the oil I used was too thin. It looked more like transmission fluid, which I think was too thin. Plus, I don't think I had enough tape on my bolt here. This time I'm going to use some 20W50 oil. And instead of running it in with a ratchet, which is a little slow, I'm going to try to take a small impact and run it in there. This oil should be a little thicker. There's plenty of that for sure. Well, that blew it off of there. There it is. Nice. Okay, now that we've got that off, I'm going to go ahead and remove this timing cover. Let's see, that looks like a 10 millimeter. Over here, there's 3 bolts. The one on the left side has a bracket on it. And the bracket is turned up. So the bracket on that side was sitting like this. This is where all the timing happens. Let me make some, let's look at this thing for a second. what, I'm gonna take the plugs out. That'll make it a lot easier to turn over. I see there's a notch up here at the top. There's a dot in the top pulley. Let's see if there's anything else. I don't see any kind of indication on the bottom one here, but there's got to be. Don't know what's going to happen when I take this all the way off. Oh, nothing. There's a spring there. This spring, I bet, was supposed to have been under this tab right here, and it wasn't. Now then the belt can come off. Okay, I looked at this bottom pulley. I did not see any markings on it that would give me a clue as to where it's supposed to go when I put this thing back together, so I'll have to research that. But for now, I'm going to remove that. The bolt, a lock washer, a flat washer, and then the big washer. Oh, there's a dot on there. So apparently, when this thing goes together, and I'll double check, but I bet, I can't turn it now. Yeah, I can. I bet that dot, well actually there's a hole, oh yeah, I bet that dot right there is supposed to be toward this other dot. So there's a dot on the pulley and a boss right there that should line up, and then the top's part can line up like that, and that's where it goes before you put the belt on. Ain't much to that. Oh, I can get this plate off without removing that. A little bit of WD-40 turned that loose. I'm gonna put all the stuff into the timing cover here. Okay, now I'm gonna take this plate off. Okay, that plate comes off like that and has 2 bolts in it, and all they have on them is the lock washer. I'm going to put the bolts back in there. Now I'm going to remove this cover. So that has 4 bolts in it. They're all the same. They don't have any lock washers on them. They have the washer built on the head of the bolt. And that plate goes like that. I'm going to take the valve cover loose next. Okay, it has 6 bolts in it. They're all the same length, no lock washers or anything. The washer's made onto the bolt. It's a timing cover. There's an O-ring in there. I don't know if one of those comes when I order a new kit or not, but I'm going to keep this one intact. I'm going to lay the bolts over in the cover and put it over here. After looking at it a bit, I believe I need to pull the cam out next because there's some bolts down in there that holds the head on that I can't get to. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that cam next. And these are all 10 millimeter. The top right here is a stud bolt. So it needs to go back in the same spot. All the others are the same. So this one goes in the top right. I'm going to have to take and loosen up the rocker arms first. To loosen the rocker arms, you've got to have a 10 millimeter open-end wrench. Loosen the nut, and then we'll loosen that up, take the pressure off. Okay, now then those are all good and loose. I would assume that slides out of there, but that's assuming. Looks like it's going to come out through this hole right here. Yep, and it does. And you have a rocker arm, a spacer, a rocker arm, a spring, another rocker arm, a spacer, and a rocker arm. Oh, one of them still had some pressure on it. I thought I had them all loose, but I guess I didn't. Okay, this looks to be symmetrical, but I'm gonna put a mark on this end or something so I know this is the outer end. Okay, I just took a Sharpie and put a mark on this outer end. There's the spring that goes in the middle. Lay these in the timing cover. Okay, the two spacers fell down in there. I've got a magnet here. Got one of them, got the other. Let's see if I can get the cam slid out of there. Oh yeah. Okay, I think I'm ready to pull off the head now. I'm just gonna buff them all loose if I can. Okay, there's 3 inside. Let's see if they're going to be the same. Nope, they're not. So looking at it from the exhaust end, they are, the 2 short ones are on the outside. Out here, that's the 2 outside ones. Okay, out here, the 2 outside ones are longer and the 2 middle ones are shorter. Okay, let's see if we can get the head off. Oh, it just came right off. Well, there's what it looks like. A whole lot of carbon on this one. I don't know how well the valves are seated. We'll check that out later. I saw one video where somebody's valves were sucked all the way back into the head. These don't look quite that bad, but I'm going to be putting new valves in it anyways. So there's the head, and there's 2 indexing pins. And then I noticed the gasket. I don't know if the replacement will say that, but it says up on it right there, so you can't mess it up. Okay, I think we're ready to open up this side of it here now. Before we do though, I'm gonna move these components off of it. Like I said, I want to clean all this stuff up really nice. I think this is the oil pump here. We'll get that off in a second. I put something on there. Got one side broke loose. There we go. I don't think you can use a socket on them screws. There's not enough space around them. But let's see if we can get this sensor off. Or timing thing, whatever this thing is. I'm sure it's electronic ignition. It looks kind of odd, like something's been rubbing on it. I wonder if that's got something to do with why this thing is running so bad. Anyway, there it is. And they're all the same. This has got an O-ring on it that came out with it. I'm going to leave that there for the time being. There's the oil pump impeller. I don't know if I get one of these new when I rebuild this thing or not, but anyway, I'm going to take it out. All right, now we're ready to take off this side right here. They look like they're 12mm bolts. I don't know, that's a 10 right there. That's a 10, 10, 10, 10, and this is a 12. Okay, we're going to take them loose. All right, all the 10mm bolts are the same, and the 12mm bolts are the same. Let's see if this thing will tap loose now. It's loose. All right. Let's get this thing off. Oh, I see there's a key here in this shaft. That wasn't wanting to let the seal come off of it, across it. All right, there that is. I tore the gasket up, which is okay. I'm gonna be putting a new one of those on here. Let's see here. Oh man. It's a counterbalance. All right, let's see if we can get these pistons out. Man, those things are tight. Yep, the bolts are the same. See some wear on it, but it's not horrible. Let's go ahead and take the piston out. Okay, there's the piston. It really don't look that bad. Pretty impressed. I don't think that cap looks too bad either. We'll keep them together. It actually don't look too bad either. Which is really kind of surprising to me because I thought it would look worse than that. All right, now I think we can pull out the crank. But I'm gonna lay this thing in a bucket. I see something that I didn't even know these had. There's a filter down in there, an oil filter. I still see honing marks in here where these things were honed before. Huh. Better than I thought it'd be. Okay, let's see if we can tap this crank out. I think I can. Get it back out of this bucket. Gonna take a little more than that. I'm gonna put a rag over here in case the thing jumps out. I won't damage it. I think it's coming. I don't know what else to be holding it in. I definitely think it's coming. There she went. Okay, I guess the bearing was supposed to come with that, because it did. To look at it from my standpoint, I'd say it looks pretty good. I need to clean up out here where it goes through the case and stuff, but man, that thing looks pretty dadgum good. Got a lot of sediment in there though. I bet this filter's never been changed. Now see, there's two bearings. There's an outer bearing and an inner bearing there. Guess you can see that. Let's go ahead and take this filter out next. Look at that. I bet these filters never get changed. There's also an O-ring around it there. Okay. All right, let's take this crankcase vent off. Bolts are the same. Not much to this, just a vent. It must have a reed valve or something though in it. I'll take that apart further later. Get the gasket off. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for this video. This is obviously the disassembly of the motor video. I also have one of removing it from the golf cart video. I'm going to do another one of the rebuild. So I appreciate you watching. If you saw anything in this video that would help you in any way, or if you liked something about it, I would really appreciate it if you'd give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I'm new on YouTube and every subscriber helps. I would really appreciate it. Thanks for watching.